Good afternoon, everybody. I'm very honored and privileged to have the opportunity to share with you this afternoon about the neuroscience application in marketing. First of all, before I get started, I'm going to give the floor to Professor Hongbo, who is from the Department of Biomedical Engineering and School of Medicine of Tsinghua University, who is a member of our advisory board at Nielsen. I'm going to give you a few examples later on. But, neuroscience, thinking about that, it can be applied actually in advertising evaluation. It sounds a bit sci-fi, doesn't it? So is it true that today's technology can achieve this effect? Well, first of all, wish to invite some thoughts from Professor Hong. Thank you. I am very glad to have the opportunity to share with you a bit of my research findings. In my lab, we work on the studies of brain. We use different physical materials and everything to put the sensors in humans as well as in animal brains. I'm very happy to actually hear the notion sensory branding being raised just now by Simon, and we call it. It's got everything to do with our studies actually. Since Nielsen started its Nielsen Neuro program, Neuroscience Neuro program, I've been very happy to make my contribution in the science panel of Nielsen Neuro. So today I wish to share with you a bit about what do we do to actually understand what you have in your mind in the marketing process. Is it possible for us to quantify their thoughts?
My major is neurotechnology. Well, what I want to tell you is that some of the technologies are already available to tell us what people are thinking. Well, maybe you haven't seen this picture. It looks like stars. Actually, they are not. What are these? Take a guess. They are neurons in our brain. Everyone has about 100 million neurons in our brain. 100 billion neurons in our brain. And these neurons are also connected with each other. Simon told us our feelings are processed by these neurons, and our decisions are made because of these neurons. We put a color to some of the neurons. That's why they look green. So how are we going to observe the interactions of neurons? Well, in hospitals, we can have some of the diagnosis of a patient's brain. And by using this machine, we'll be able to know what this person is thinking. Well, for this picture, this patient is thinking about the number 3. So maybe we can use the same technology, the EEG technology, to explore the thinking happening inside the brain. A century ago, a psychiatrist in Germany invented this product, the EEG. EEG. With EEG, brain activities can be observed. Well, one day, Hansberg, the inventor, fell from the horse, but then he got a letter from his sister asking if he was injured. He was really surprised. And he discovered that human beings can communicate with each other through brain waves. So when he got back to Germany, he started his research and he found there was little electricity going on in the brain when people are using the brain. Since then, since the invention of EEG, it has been widely applied because this is not non-traumatic. The only thing you need to do is to put on the hat. So is there a way for us to translate the brainwave signals? Well, we did an experiment like this. For example, if I ask you to put on a hat, and then I will read some of the names of cities, and then I look at the difference of different cities. For example, if I say Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, Shenzhen, Qingdao, Shenyang, Urumqi, when I read these Chinese cities' names, some of the cities, maybe your hometown, maybe you worked in some of the cities, maybe you met your first love in some of the cities. If that is the case, then your brainwave will look like this. This is a real-time EEG. What did you see? Well, in your brain, there was a storm. The red and the blue shows different intensities. But if you've never been to a city or the city has nothing to do with you, and then your brainwave will look like this. If we put the two images together, showing them side by side. So could you tell me which brain is more interested? Of course, the brain on the right side, because the brain wave is much stronger. So by wearing this EEG hat, we'll be able to translate what you are thinking. And this technology is also used by the police. Well, this is very useful. It is also very convenient. But it is also different from MRI. Well, MRI gives you a steady picture. You detect which area is more active. But using brainwave, we will be able to see the changes inside the brain in accordance with the changing environment. Well, in my lab, we did another research. We asked our students to wear this hat, and the students were able to control robotic dogs using this hat, because with EEG, we'll be able to detect the changes of brain signals or brain waves. In that way, we'll be able to control the robots instantly. And there's a narrow strip on our cortex which controls different parts of the body. For example, when I move my left hand, then the right side of the strip will send a strong signal, like the second brain here on the screen. These can be detected by EEG. So if EEG works like this, then we will detect the signals by the students who were wearing the hat. Well, this is a very advanced technology. We call it brain-computer interface. With brain-computer interface, we can greatly help the disabled people. In particular, Stephen Hawking is using this interface to transcribe what he's thinking. Well, what I showed you so far was all about rational decision making. But apart from being rational, sometimes people are more irrational or emotional. There's a book, Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow. For example, if I ask you a question, how do you like the lighting in a room? Well, you'll come to the conclusion very quickly using your right hemisphere of your brain. But if I ask another question, on this chart, are there more letters E than letters A? Well, then you do your calculation. In that case, your left hemisphere starts working. Most of the time, positive emotions come from the left hemisphere. Negative emotions come from the right side of the brain, right hemisphere. If we are able to compare the brain waves on the left, on the right, and then we'll be able to tell whether you are happy or not. Moreover, since EEG can be detected instantly, we'll be able to detect the frequency of the brain waves, and the different frequencies correspond to different activities. For example, theta corresponds to memory, alpha corresponds to alertness. So if we are able to detect all the frequencies of your brain wave, and then we can make this chart. On the y-axis, represents frequency. The horizontal axis represents your emotion. If you are very happy, and then you're on the right side. If you are unhappy, and then your brainwave tends to be on the left side. So with EEG head, we'll be able to detect your emotional stage, your emotional status. A story to share with you. We had a project together working with an animation maker. Well, the director was very nervous. He didn't know whether his animation film will be popular. And we asked our students to wear this hat when watching the animation film. And we were able to record the emotional data of the students. For example, from minute 40 to minute 45, there should be a climax. But from minute 4 to minute 5, there should be a climax, but we didn't see the red. And we also gave a suggestion, gave a piece of suggestion to the director, because there were too many climaxes in the movie. There's another application. For example, when you watch a video clip online or using on TV, or when you watch a video clip with your mobile phone, we can also detect the activities happening inside your brain. Scientists in Nielsen are working on this project. And we have developed a mobile device which can be equipped to your glasses or to your earpiece to detect your brainwave. In that way, we can make advertisement more effective. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Professor Hong, for your sharing. after listening to Professor Hong, I think you have some basic understanding of the science. Now, I want to share with you some real-life cases. First, let's look at this commercial.
不额外添加蔗糖，更安心，有助均衡营养，更出色，10分。安佳进口儿童牛奶。
Okay, so what you just saw is the 30-second ad clip from Anchor, imported milk. Nielsen's got a complete methodology to evaluate the 30-second ad clip, and its working principle is identical with the lab scenes that we have just seen from Professor Hong's work. I will invite our focus group people to also wear the EEG caps, and we ask them to watch the video clip, and we analyze their results. I don't know about you guys. What's your impression of that clip? Is it okay? Is it above average? Let me share with you our evaluation results. We played such ads multiple times worldwide, and we've got a database we run. And that ad I just played for you, that ad is ranked as top 20% in terms of the effect of the previous ad. I'm sure that was also your impression a little earlier. You see that the highlight is clear, right? The highlighted message was very clear. No sugar. So in terms of overall effectiveness, attention, emotional engagement, and the memory activation, you can see that emotional engagement and memory activation, both of which has really hit top 20%. Indeed, an ad need to really engage the consumer and achieve emotional resonance. That's critical. Is there anywhere that it needs to be further improved? Honestly, I don't have enough time to share with you the complete report of that ad. Just want to share the following. You can see it's a 30-second one. We are analyzing it second by second. For the first seconds, for example, we call it a noodle chart, right? It's a noodle. The curves basically shows you the effectiveness. And such effectiveness have taken into account attentiveness, emotional engagement, and memory activation. I can tell you that for the first 5 seconds, it's very impressive. It asks the question at the beginning, remember? That's usually a perfect way to grasp attention for any TV commercials. So it was very beautifully started. They asked the question. And then we can see that the commercial can be divided into 3 parts. First, imported. Second message, no sugar added. Third, balanced nutrient. At the end of the duration was the logo. This is a very common composition of a TV commercial in China. You can see that in terms of import, in terms of no sugar added, and in terms of balanced nutrient, and in terms of logo. You can see when these messages were highlighted, we can see that they all reach very high level. From a scale of 0 to 10, they all reached above 5. From the beginning to the end, most of the time, it has engaged the consumers, and it has attracted or activated a bit of the memory of the consumer. But we can see that at the middle of the commercial, in terms of no sugar added, we can see that the effect is not as good. Then we try to dig deeper for the reason. Now I wish to get a bit deeper to try to analyze them one indicator by one indicator. Again, the trend, you can see that if there are problems, where are they? And what can we do to improve it? You can see that the gray line, the gray curve signifies memory activation. And it's got a bit to do with EEG analysis. So you know what? The memory activation has a lot to do with the visual effects, a lot to do with the sound effects, and how much of it has got association with your childhood memory. But you can see that this gray line, when it comes to the no sugar added part, it's very low, this memory part. In terms of the orange line, orange curve, it is about attentiveness, attention. In comparison, it's at a very high level. You might think that attention is a good element, right? I mean, I've grasped the eyeballs of everybody. It's not the case. Like Professor Hong mentioned a little earlier, such attention in TV commercials, they are not necessarily always good. Sometimes you don't want your consumers to pay attention to your commercial while, like doing a mathematical question or something. You want them to have an easy time and embrace your product. No sugar added. No sugar added, this message is unprecedented. It's brand new. And Anchor is the first brand to ever raise that point. Therefore, consumers have no memories about it. So when they say no sugar added, you will see a big Chinese character that says sugar, and many kids are dancing around it and trying to remove it. So you don't have any previous experience to associate that message with. You can see that the visual effect was quite clear. A big Chinese character that says sugar. And their idea is for the kids to push that big Chinese character sugar away from the screen. But at the beginning, you were a bit confused about what that means. But then you can see that after you got the point, the attention started to decline. But then at that moment, the memory activation started to increase, which was good. That means that the consumer has got the message, they understood it, they lost the attention, but their memory started to build up. Next, a few other points to be further improved. Well, we did our eyeball tracking. You can see that. You can see that very cute kids are showcased here. The reddish or brownish color indicates the focus point of the consumers. You can see that they were all focusing on the kids. They completely missed the product. We know that food and beverage TV commercials, they will most certainly showcase their product application. But while you are showcasing the kids, the characters, you really have to balance the packaging of your product with the cute kids, right? Otherwise, if the kids were too cute, they will miss out completely what the product was in the beginning. Just now I showed you the analysis of the TV communication effect second by second. But now that I I can see the effectiveness, neuroscience effectiveness, second by second. Then I think we shall bring up all the most effective highlights from a clip and put it together. So this is the complete full length of the TV commercial. This is a very effective way. It's a very humorous commercial, isn't it? It's very effective, actually. And this is its noodle trend, because we know its effectiveness by second. Then through neuroscience technique, we could congest it into 15-second one. Now it's compressed into 13 seconds. I don't know what your reaction is in comparison. You don't see much difference at all, right? Basically no difference at all. Because of this very good and sound tool, that it has been able to really taken out the most effective and meaningful visual effects and sound effects in it. We maintain all of that and cut out all the unnecessary ones. So we've done a great deal of proof work to try to prove that ads can perform better at relatively shorter period of time. We analyzed a total of 75 TV commercials. We compare the original version, which is longer, with the compressed version. We found that 95% of the time, the compressed version has even better effect than the original one. I'm not going to elaborate on why, because frankly, I'm sure that while you are working on the original version, you've got too many to tell, right? There are too many gaming going on, too many debate going on among all the stakeholders. So the eventual result, sometimes it may have eluded, the consumers and everything. But now through the very effective compression, you were able to keep its essence. Especially this year, most of our partners are faced with a shortage of their budget. They have to start to rely on a shorter version advertising. Well, this is a very effective way for you not to cut out the useful part and cut out the unnecessary part. Save money. Now, in the interest of time, I'm not going to elaborate every point with a case study, but just in closing, I just want to once again emphasize that using neuroscience is not just a sci-fi movie anymore. Nielsen has piloted its projects in more than 40 countries and territories, and in China, this is the 5th year for Nielsen to run a neuroscience study in application in TV commercials. And we apply our neuroscience application not only in advertising, but also in packaging, in product, in branding, and indoor promotion design. So we truly look forward to more opportunities to discussing with you on this application. Then during the tea break, me and Professor Hong will be very happy to take your questions and interact with you. Thank you very much for your time.